Welcome to the Let's Rant podcast. I am your host, Rodrigo, where we are going to be ranting, talking, screaming, and discussing all things MMA, primarily UFC, boxing, other sports. We're going to be talking about personal things, life, how later on we hope to be able to have guests. I've got a few of them lined up already. So we're going to be working to get those people on. But for now, we are on the UFC 263 series post show review. We're going to be reviewing the top three fights on the card. Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. The flyweight title fight between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. And, of course, the middleweight main event, the title fight between Izzy Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. But let's get started with Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards. Man, that was a hell of a fight. Leon Edwards dominated throughout most of the fight, and then Nate Diaz does what Nate Diaz does best and damn near stole the fight. The last minute of round number 5, after being taken down, being beat up, the lead leg was definitely compromised because Leon Edwards kept landing a number of leg kicks and being tagged up and even taken down. I think at one point, I think around 3 or 4, Leon tripped up Nate and put him on his butt, which led to Nate getting up and congratulating him for it because he definitely was not expecting that. Nate wasn't. So that was the story of the fight. As we're heading into round 5, we're thinking, okay, if Nate doesn't pull this, if Nate doesn't get a knockout or a submission, it's in the bag for Leon, right? Well, ask and you shall receive. Almost, though. Time ran out on Nate Diaz. I think he was unable to press forward because of his lead leg being compromised. But, man, there were some people in attendance. We were watching this live at the Battery in Atlanta. And there was we were in a second tier, so there was a lot of people there, a lot of alcohol. And we had some very also passionate, filthy casual fans of Leon Edwards, of the UFC and of Leon Edwards. They had no idea who Nate Diaz was. I don't know how in the hell you watch the sport, you don't know who Nate Diaz is. But, these casuals were yelling at the top of their lungs for Leon to take out Nate, and he almost had him. He didn't knock him down not once with strikes, but he did, like I said, he did trip him up and take him down against the fence. Almost had Nate in. He took his back. He almost put Nate in a rear naked choke. But Nate's a jiu-jitsu wizard. I didn't feel at all that Nate was in trouble there at all. These frat kids that were standing next to me kept yelling for Leon to take Nate's head off. Boy, did the air get taken out of the room when Nate lands that crisp down the pipe left hand, and then Stockton slaps the taste out of Leon's mouth. It became a party after that, because we were, for those last 60 seconds, we were all jumping except for the frat kids next to me. Everybody in the room was just up in a freaking heave. It was like, man, Nate Diaz is going to pull this off. He started to press forward, but again, I think the lead leg being compromised definitely, and the time running out definitely was working against Nate, but he almost had him. And boy, I'll tell you, if Nate was able to win that fight, he would have taken Leon's spot in the rankings, and he himself will be getting a title shot because he moves more pay-per-views than anybody else on that division. So Nate almost had him. But though Leon won the fight on the judges' scorecards, even though Leon won, Nate lost no momentum. Coming out of that fight, Nate, because of that last minute, it's been discussed by many media people and even Dana White himself. Nate's Nate. Nate's still a star. Lost no momentum. We don't know where Nate is going to go from here. I know Dan Hooker's called him out, but we don't know where Nate is going to go from here. But Leon Edwards is definitely securing his spots in the ranking. I think he's ranked in at number 3. And then you have Covington at number 1, Gilbert Burns, who just lost to the champion at number 2, but number 2 spot, and then Stephen Thompson at number 4. Burns and Thompson are going to fight on the July 10th card, the UFC 264 card that Conor McGregor is main eventing against Dustin Poirier. So they're going to be the co-main event for that. Thompson and Burns will be. And I think the winner of that gets the winner of Leon versus, I think they're going to throw Masvidal in there. Masvidal and Leon Edwards have heat from back in 2018 when after Masvidal took out Till at that savage KO in his return fight from injury. He had an altercation, to say the least, with Leon Edwards, and so that led to Leon Edwards getting the also famous 3-piece in a soda. Got punched up, and but nothing ever happened. I think the UFC did not want to steer in that direction at that time, so they put Ben Askren and Masvidal together, and we all know what happened there. Fastest knockout in the UFC history. Yeah, it's good, in my opinion. It's good that they stayed away from that fight. Now it's the right time. I think it's the right time to make this fight. Masvidal's coming off of a loss against the champion, and Leon, because of his performance, did he do well against Diaz? Yes. Was he able to take Diaz out? No. So, and he almost got caught. He almost got put away himself in the last minute of the last round. So, I don't think that performance warrants a title fight. And Covington's already fight. There's already rumors. It's like almost certain that Kamaru Usman the champion is gonna defend against Covington for the second time. So, I think moving forward, like I said, we have Covington versus Usman, Burns versus Thompson, and I think Leon Edwards and Masvidal. Because Masvidal did an interview earlier this week. I think matter of fact, I think it was today, for his Game Bread championship. I think it's Bare Knuckle Championship that he just funded with what's the trap artist? Anuel AA. Interesting duo there. And so them two boys are going to be the heads of like I said, Game Bread fighting championship, Bare Knuckle fighting championship. So that's going to be interesting. Their first event, I think, is taking place in July, I think, if not August. Yeah, Masvidal versus Leon Edwards is almost guaranteed to come. And I think the winner of that and then the winner of Thompson versus Burns, they either may face each other depending on how impressive the winners are, then they're going to get a shot at Usman. Now, if Masvidal takes out Leon, which I definitely think he can, because Leon did not take out Nate, but Masvidal sure did. Masvidal had Diaz in trouble. And Masvidal hits hard because he knocked Nate Diaz down a couple of times. Leon Edwards was coming with everything in the kitchen sink included, and he couldn't put Nate Diaz on his butt at all. So I don't know how much power he has, but, I mean, he's definitely a hell of a striker. That does not equal to power. Some strikers are just great because they have the finesse of the technique. That doesn't mean that they have power. So that begs the question, though. How much power does Conor McGregor have? He landed out left hand crisp on Nate Diaz at 170, a younger Nate Diaz, and he put Nate up flat on his ass multiple times. So what did we learn from that? Nate Diaz has a hell of a chin, but it has definitely been tested by Masvidal and most definitely by Conor McGregor. So does Leon Edwards not hit as hard as Conor and Nate and Masvidal? I mean, 1 + 1 = 2, no? So I think if Leon Edwards versus Masvidal gets booked, I think that Masvidal will take out Leon Edwards. But then, if he's got to do it in impressive fashion, but then what do you do with Masvidal? Do you give him a third fight against Usman? Usman's got his number, and Masvidal will admit to that. So the only way that Masvidal's going to get another title shot is if Covington beats Usman. But then Covington has to beat Usman and make it impressive, where they don't do an automatic rematch. So because Masvidal versus Covington, former best friends, former roommates, hate each other now. That's money. And the UFC's in the business of making money. I don't think they would give Kamaru Usman an automatic rematch. I think they would go the route of Covington versus Masvidal. So the welterweight division, this fight pretty much set up the rest of the welterweight division, and the other fights being booked definitely helped. So we'll see how things shape up. We'll see what the UFC 264 card brings. Again, that card will be main evented by Conor McGregor at the T-Mobile Arena versus Dustin Poirier. Was it July 10th is the day for that? So, and Thompson and Gilbert Burns, Stephen Thompson versus Gilbert Burns are on that card as the main event. So I think Usman versus Covington is coming up maybe in October, maybe November, if not sooner. So we'll see how that card shapes up, and we'll see how that fight plays out. Usman took out Covington in the last round of their previous fight, of their first fight. So we shall see. I think that's how the card is going to shape up. So that one is pretty much done and all. We're going to be doing a 3-part series on these. So, we had 3 mega star and star-studded fights. All 3 of these fights were scheduled for 5 rounds. Only 2 of them, only the third fight, Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz, that we're talking about now, went to 5 rounds, and the main event went 5 rounds. But part 2, we're going to be discussing the also pleasing to me victory of Brandon Moreno and Deiveson Figueiredo. So we'll be discussing that in part 2. That is it for part 1. Again, the welterweight division pretty much set itself up after this. It would have been shaken up if Nate Diaz had won, because he would have gotten a title shot over Covington, definitely over Masvidal, because Masvidal's not even in the running for the title. Would not matter who won between Thompson and Gilbert Burns. Nobody would give a crap, which sucks for those boys that definitely would have taken the air out of that fight. Nate Diaz would have got himself a title shot. So, but we don't live in the land of what ifs, and so the things shaped up the way they are now. Leon Edwards gets the victory over Nate Diaz. We don't know where Nate Diaz is going to go from here, but Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz. You can get whatever fight he wants. Leon Edwards is probably going to get booked against Masvidal, Thompson, Burns, Usman, and Covington. So that takes care of that division. So let's bring an end to this one, and we'll pick up on part 2 and discuss the Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo flyweight title fight. Thank you.